Hello and welcome to this transmission. I don't even want to call this a masterclass because this is a transmission, an activation into claiming the money queen. So this particular portal is called the Money Queen Codes because I'm going to share with you throughout this particular portal together the Money Queen codes that I used to activate the part of me and remember the Money Queen within, because the Money Queen is already within you, right? I want you to go through this call as you're listening. Of course, taking in the activation, but I want you to start this particular portal in the knowing that you are already the Money Queen. And this is a remembering. This is an activation into her so that you can leave this space magnetic to the wealth that you desire, right? This isn't about a future you that you have to become. This isn't about doing more in order to make more. It is about being, it is about activating, it is about remembering that part of you who is already magnetic to the wealth that you truly desire. So, this is what this space is all about. It is giving you the codes that I used in my life to go from that space of feeling like I could manifest everything else except money into quantum leaping into the life that I truly desired. So I'm going to share a little bit more about that in a second. But I really want to activate this within you because I know that you have been guided to this particular container and portal to remember how fucking powerful you truly are. Because we all are abundant and wealthy. We are born abundant and wealthy. That's why I always say, abundance is your birthright because you are literally born in the frequency that aligns you to wealth. But along the path and along your journey, you have been conditioned otherwise. It is so prevalent. We have all been conditioned for lack and scarcity, whether that be the people who you are surrounded by growing up, whether that be the TV, whether that be social media, whatever that is, conditioned to believe that you are not the money queen. But this is a reclamation of her because she is, and you are the woman. And I want you to leave this space feeling as if you are the woman, you are the queen, the money queen, who knows deep in your bones that you were never meant for scarcity. You are magnetic, intuitive, and powerful. You lead with your vision. You know that you have a bigger purpose and mission in this lifetime. And you know that you are meant to be generously compensated for the gift that you share in this world. Whether that is, straight through the business or whether that is the gift and the light that you share in your day to day, in your job, as you go about your day. When you remember that you are the money queen and you activate these codes within, you are raising your wealth consciousness. And by you raising your wealth consciousness, you are actually, without even realizing it, without even doing anything, raising the consciousness of the people around you, the collective consciousness. That is why this work isn't just so powerful to attract money. Like, yes, that's incredible, amazing. Of course, we want to do that. But it is also for the greater good. of humanity. To raise a collective consciousness means that as humanity, as this whole entire human existence, we get to live a more abundant existence, right? Because God, universe, source, whoever you put your belief into, didn't create money for it to be something that we fight about, for it to be something that we worry and stress about. It was created, it is a spiritual idea given to us by God, source, universe, to live our most expansive life, right? So you are meant to be the money queen. You are meant to attract the wealth that you desire to become your highest expression in this lifetime, to live out your soul mission, to impact the world. And money is just the tool to help you live out your dream life, live out your highest expression and impact the world. Because I know that if you've been guided to this space, you desire to help people globally. I feel that. I feel that in my bones. You desire to walk on stages. You desire to impact so many people in this lifetime. So we want money in the hands of more people just like you because you are the one who is changing the world. So, of course, this is an activation, a remembrance that you are not hustling, you are not, hustling for crumbs anymore. You are no longer tolerating dribs and drabs or, just like little wins here and there. You want to change at that identity level so that money just is. Money just flows to you. Money is there to support you. You know that when you need more money, it flows to you. You never question it, even when, the bank account doesn't reflect what you internally desire. You know that money is on its way to you and it is going to flow back to you tenfold. So, this is the space that we want to come to, this regulated space, this embodiment of how truly worthy you are in this now moment. It is the internal shift, it is creating wealth from within. Because so often, yes, of course, there's other ways to create wealth. We can go out there, hustle, get the job that we don't like, work the 9 to 5, etc., etc. But that is not what you are meant to do, right? You are meant to experience wealth beyond what generations before you have created. You are meant to experience a life beyond anyone in your family has ever even thought was possible. You're meant to shift and change and impact the world, which requires more wealth. And it also requires you to be in your creative flow, in your creative endeavors, which does not involve something that you don't enjoy. And also, as well, people can create money other ways but they still stress, they still have that internal worry and anxiety around money. They still have that dysregulated nervous system around money. So we want to shift internally so that you just become, this beautiful light who is so regulated about around money, who is sharing her gifts, who's being well compensated. This is the money queen. It is a whole different level of wealth and abundance. And I know that, I've just gone straight into the deep end because this is who you are. And right now, your bank account isn't reflecting what you are sharing, what you are giving, the gifts out in the world, the impact that you want to create. So by rewiring your relationship, your nervous system, your beliefs, your identity around money, that shifts almost instantly. So this is what I wanted to create, this space, this transmission, this portal to give you the codes to activate within. So it is just who you are. You are just the money queen who receives so much wealth and abundance. And she's already within you, ready to rise. So the money codes that I really learned were the activating codes that I needed in order to, go from this space. The reason I understand and I can speak to where you're at currently so strongly and so powerfully is because I have been there. I know what it feels like to be giving, to be sharing, to be doing everything right, to be using all of the manifestation tools, to be manifesting other things in my life, but not money. I understand this at such a deep level. And this is why this is my mission, my purpose, to help you go within, activate these codes so that you can live a life beyond your wildest dreams, whatever that looks like for you, right? From going from, not knowing, how I was going to manifest money, being so frustrated by it, to building, my partner and I having a over $2 million portfolio of properties now, having, and working with the most dreamiest clients and even, charging upwards of $15,000 to work with me, going on these incredible overseas trips and spontaneous overseas trips as well, like going to live in Bali, going to Europe every single year. I'm about to next week go to Bali again just because, right? And then 3 weeks later, we're spending a month in Europe because these spaces for me, they activate parts within me. They allow me to share my message at a much deeper level and help my clients in the energy that they deserve to be supported in. So, whatever your vision looks like, whatever the life that you truly desire, that money is the tool to help you elevate into that. These are the codes that I learned after, struggling for so long, looking externally for such a long time, wanting someone to just give me the how, give me the path. How am I going to impact the world to the degree that I wanted to? How am I going to have the tool of money to be able to live the life that I desire? And then being able to activate these codes and then turning within rather than looking without. So that is what it's all about. So the first Money Queen code is identity over strategy. So often, and this was my story as well, is that I invested into, the mentors and coaches to give me the strategy. I just wanted to know the how. I would literally do everything that they would tell me to do. I would take the massive action. I would do the thing. I would invest. I would la di da di da. And so it wasn't from a lack of action. It wasn't from a lack of, getting out of my comfort zone and doing the thing. But money flows to the queen who is already being the version of herself that holds it. I realized that my identity around money was actually in lack and scarcity. I used to chase strategy, but everything changed when I started to align with my money queen identity. So the truth is money is a vibration that you can match. Everything holds a particular vibration. Just as I picked my glass up, I needed a sip of water. So just like this glass, it is a physical object, but everything at that molecular level is vibrating at a certain frequency, even physical objects, right? It's quantum physics without getting into the nitty-gritty of all of that. But with that and knowing that and understanding that is that, okay, well, if everything's a vibration, then so is money. And I get to actually match that particular vibration to call more in. That is how we become magnetic. Because a lot of the time in the manifestation realm is that we hear all about the universal law of attraction. But what we don't hear about is actually the law of vibration. So the law of attraction doesn't work without the law of vibration because we are just attracting what we are energetically aligned with. So in order to attract a different timeline, we have to first tune our channel like a radio station, tune your channel to receive that different timeline, the timeline where you're already experiencing the wealth. Because in the quantum realm, every single timeline is happening. There's a timeline where you've attracted 10K a month. There's a timeline where you've attracted 20, 50, whatever. And the more that you can align with that and actually hold the frequency of the new timeline, that is when you condense the time in between asking and receiving it. So it's not about how much time is this going to take. It's not about how much do I need to do, how much action do I need to take, but instead it's who do I need to be? Who is the version of me who is already attracting the 10K, the 20K, etc. So the thing is, and where a lot of people can go wrong with this, is thinking that aligning your vibration with more money equals being high vibe and operating on the frequency of wealth is different than being high vibe. So when I first started to really delve into manifesting money and the energetics and manifestation as a whole, I thought, okay, well, if I just become this happy person, if I'm positive, if I think just really positive thoughts about money, then, I will be in the frequency of wealth. But this isn't the case. And I'm going to explain this for you. Got a beautiful diagram to go into all of the juiciness. So, where I was, sitting around that 0 to 2K, it was very sporadic on the money that I was attracting into my life, dribs and drabs. Some month it was zero, some month it was like $500, etc. So, what I realized was that I had an identity that was aligned with receiving this amount of money every single month, right? So I was taking action. I had thoughts, feelings from this particular identity and said, okay, well, I want to attract more wealth, right? So I asked for more. I desired more. So I started to watch YouTube videos on Abraham Hicks. I started taking care of, more of my health. I've got a background of nutritional medicine, but I was just like, okay, well, I just have to become the healthiest, most vibrant person. I started to go to personal development events. I started to feel good, get excited, feel grateful, and my energy did become higher and faster, right? So that is what happens with our energy. So it moved from this slow and low vibration. And then as I started to, feel more happy, grateful, healthy, I was technically, this higher vibration. And I did start to attract more aligned things at that similar frequency. So I started to attract more people who were happy. I started meeting more people who were nice and kind and felt inspired. But I still didn't attract the money that I desired, right? So you can be high vibe, but still be an energetic match to, say, 0 to 2,000. So being happy and high vibe doesn't take you to the wealth that you desire. That is just a fact. It literally doesn't, right? Because if you think about it, there are so many happy people in the world who don't have any money. And there's plenty of people with money who are not happy at all. So, what is the shift then? How can we step into attracting more wealth? So, you can be high vibe and still have thoughts, beliefs, and actions that are rooted in lack and limitation. So these are actually what is resisting the money. So our identity is made up of, our thoughts, our feelings, beliefs, how we see ourselves, how we see the world, how we see money, and then the actions that we take from that space. So in order to actually change and align with more wealth that you truly desire, we have to shift our identity. So we have to move up. I don't even want to say up, but we have to align with the timeline where we are already experiencing more wealth. So we have to change at that identity level. Change the way that we view ourselves, change the way that we think, feel, and behave specifically towards money. So, the purpose of this activation, this portal, this transmission, I don't want you to just leave this space feeling more excited. I don't want you to just leave the space feeling more inspired because you probably watched 1,000 different, masterclasses and you felt inspired, you felt activated, you felt excited, and then nothing has changed in your actual experience of life. So I want this to be a transformation. I want this to actually have that lasting result and change not only your internal, but your external as well. So let's not leave with just a whole bunch of information. Let's leave as the money queen. That is my purpose for this particular container. Now, I'm going to actually show you how you can start to shift your identity to the money queen in code 3. But I want to speak about money queen code 2, which is so, 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 so powerful because it relates to the identity piece. So the money queen code 2, and what I realized is that there is energetics of receiving. So yes, there's so much that we can do to shift our identity and align with the wealth that we desire. But if we are not actually open to receive that wealth, then it will always be one step away from us. So we'll always feel like it is, stuck in transition. Have you ever experienced where a client's like, oh, I am going to pay you, and then it just keeps getting delayed, delayed, delayed. This is because we are not actually in the receivership mode. So I started to shift my identity, but then I realized that I was still only receiving a smaller amount. So the whole energetics of receiving is about expanding your container to receive more. So we don't want to just align with more. We want to be open to receive more by expanding our container, which is actually expanding our nervous system to feel safe around wealth, to feel safe to attract and hold wealth. Because it's a whole different ball game when we're talking about actually attracting things in versus actually holding them as well. If you've ever experienced where you have actually attracted in money, but then you have this thought, I just need to get this money out of my bank account. So you might, go to the shops and just spend it all, right? Or you might have attracted a fine that's come in and you're like, oh, that's so random. I got so many fines this month. How does that make any sense? And it's because of the nervous system capacity to receive. So your ability to receive is directly tied to your nervous system and how safe you feel around wealth. So it's not your current situation that makes you feel that way that you do around money. And this is, 95% of this is subconscious. We don't even realize that we're having this. We don't even realize sometimes that we are doing this, that we are just spending on this money that, we didn't want to actually spend it on, or we're attracting these fines. It's all happening subconsciously because we don't internally feel safe to receive and hold money, right? So again, it's not what is happening in this now moment that is triggering a response in your body. So your body will, tell you if there's dysregulation in the nervous system. You will feel activated. So you might even be going through this transmission and portal right now, and you're starting to feel activated internally. And you're like, oh, that feels uncomfortable. So it's not actually what is happening in your current reality around money. So, for an example, you look at your bank account and you feel like, oh, it triggers a response in your nervous system. It's not even the money itself, it's how your mind perceives money as a threat. So, I'm going to explain this for you. So, the money and the nervous system. So, we have two branches of our automatic nervous system, or automatic nervous system. I know this, I studied this at uni. Anyway, we've got sympathetic and parasympathetic. So our sympathetic is our protect from danger. It is our fight or flight. You're in the olden days when you're being chased by a tiger, your body would go into that fight or flight response and it'll, excrete hormones like adrenaline, cortisol that makes your body like, oh, okay, it's not safe. I need to get the hell out of here. So the contrary to that is our parasympathetic nervous system, so our rest and digest. So we used to always, call this at uni is that we always want to be in that rest and digest, our parasympathetic nervous system when we are eating, because that's when we can digest all of the nutrients from our food. So we're not going to end up bloated after we eat our food, right? So how this relates to money is that money comes to a regulated nervous system, specifically around money, right? So if your nervous system's being activated and triggered, and it doesn't actually feel safe, then money won't flow to you. It's mind-blowing, right? But just trust me with this and let me just like digest it as we go through. So something could have happened years ago. So it's again not something that's really happening in this now moment. It's not the fact that you maybe don't have enough money in your bank account. It is how your mind is perceiving it. So something could have happened years ago that still triggers a sympathetic nervous system response, say when you look at your bank account. So the subconscious then deems it unsafe and it puts up these alarm bells. Oh, it's unsafe, it's unsafe. We're going to run away from that tiger, that same response. which then energetically repels the money that you truly desire. So you could be aligning to the money that you desire and working with the identity, but then your subconscious does not deem it safe, and the nervous system does not deem it safe to actually receive that money or to actually hold that money, right? So the state that we want to be in to receive the money that you desire is we want to feel neutral and regulated around money. So more flows in because it is deemed safe and it just is, right? So when we can get our nervous system regulated around our desires, around money, that is when more money is actually going to feel safe to flow into your life and your bank account. So it's such a important piece of the puzzle when we're talking about attracting and manifesting the money that you truly desire. So, you know, the way that your mind actually perceives money is like what I said, our body and our nervous system keeps the score. I always say this, your body keeps the score. So if you've ever, felt this in context of, you hear a particular song and straight away you go back to that time where you were listening to that particular song and making out with an ex-partner, whatever it is. But it just takes you straight back to that scenario. Because the body, it doesn't know what is actually happening in this now moment. It just, it doesn't matter like what is happening in the past or the present. It just is responding to what is happening in the now moment. So say, some sort of trauma has happened. Maybe it was, seeing your parents fight around money. And because you were too young, or those emotions were too big to process, they are actually just stored in the body because emotions are energy in motion. So they can't be created or destroyed, they can only be transmuted. So the fact that when we're young, we don't have the emotional capacity to be able to really transmute those emotions properly. So they're stored in the body. So something might happen now that triggers a nervous system response to something that has happened in the past because your body and your nervous system doesn't know that it's, safe to receive now. It's just taking you back to that point in your life where it wasn't safe, right? So again, when those unprocessed emotions project perceived notions onto the way that you view money now, it keeps it away. It is energetically repelling the money that you actually desire to attract in your life now. So, of course, we want to be regulating our nervous system. It's a huge factor when it comes to actually receiving wealth and actually holding wealth as well. So again, the nervous system is tied to the subconscious, and the subconscious mind is 95% of what we are manifesting. So we are only, tapping into that 5% of the conscious mind. So we're using the manifestation tools. We are asking for more. We are writing down our desires, all of that conscious mind activities, we are not actually tapping into the 95% of the potentiality when it comes to manifesting the money that you truly desire. And a lot of the subconscious mind is actually developed from, 0 to 7 because we're sponges at that time. We don't know whether, a belief is right or wrong, like is true or false. That's why we all believe in Santa Claus when we're younger. And then when we get a little bit older, we're just like, we start to question things and we're just like, oh, hang on a second. Santa Claus isn't real. Sorry for anyone who's listening to may think it's real. But again, coming back, we have been conditioned. So we have been taking on all of the beliefs, all of the money beliefs from people, from people that we've grown up with, essentially. So that is why we say like the generational patterns around money because it is literally just passed down from generations. But you are here to shift that. You are here to rewrite the story because you desire a different life to what your generations before you have created. That is why you're here. You're here to experience the most elevated experience of life and wealth which we have to look at these generational patterns and beliefs. Because if we don't, then that is why our nervous system is dysregulated around money. And we're capping ourselves to the amount of wealth that we can receive, right? So money, like, is so, so powerful because when we can have these awareness around these beliefs that we have around money, it becomes so much more easeful to attract the wealth that you desire. Because what we don't realize is that our subconscious belief precedes the manifestation. So it's not what you consciously want, it is the subconscious belief that you are actually attracting from, because that is what you're vibrating at. It's part of your identity. It's part of your identity, the beliefs and nervous system. But I wanted to separate it because, we can focus on our thinking, our behavior, our actions, our feelings towards money, but then we're missing a huge key component that makes up the identity. So the money and the nervous system and the subconscious mind. So beliefs like, some of the things that I heard growing up is money doesn't grow on trees. There isn't enough to buy that. We have to wait. The amount of times that I heard that, right? Because my parents split up when I was quite young. So my mum received child support. So we had to always wait till the child support came in to be able to buy the thing that we desired. So things also that I heard, only greedy people have money. People who have money are bad or evil or wrong. Like it doesn't have to be to the degree of people who have money are evil, but it could be that subtle messaging of, oh, look at those people who have money who are doing those wrong or bad things in the world. And then you create this belief, oh, okay, if I have money, then I'm going to be bad or wrong, or I'm going to be quote unquote evil. And it's all running at that subconscious level until we bring awareness to it, right? So that is what is manifesting. So you could consciously want more money, but if you believe that money is going to make you bad or wrong or greedy, then that's what is underlining that desire. So that is what you're actually calling in. You're calling in the lack of money because you don't actually want to be a bad, or wrong, greedy person, right? So it's bringing awareness to these subtle subconscious beliefs that are actually a huge part of what you are actually attracting into your life. So there's so many more here, and they're obviously going to be specific to you as well, because that's where I see a lot of people go wrong is like, oh, okay, well, that person has that belief around money. So yeah, maybe I have that belief around money. And then you start to repeat an affirmation. It's like, oh, money flows easily and freely to me. But really you didn't even have that belief to begin with. So it's really important to go within and look at what beliefs do you hold around money. Okay. So again, a huge part of the energetics to receiving, to be able to open the portal to receive the wealth that you truly desire, then it's about regulating the nervous system around money. So one way that you can do this, when you do feel that activation and that trigger come up in your body, instead of suppressing it. So a lot of people, they will go on their phone, they will scroll, they'll watch a movie, do anything to not feel that emotion that is coming up because it's just a protective mechanism. The whole, mechanism of the subconscious is to keep you safe. So by keeping you safe, it's actually keeping you small. It's keeping you attracting what you don't actually want. And that's why people keep attracting the same thing over and over and over again. So we have to actually, work with the subconscious and say, it is safe. It is safe for me to receive. It is safe for me to feel these emotions because, again, it might not be what is happening in this now moment. Like you might get triggered by, say, buying something, and then you might feel this activation in the body, but it could have been something that's traumatic that has happened in the past that you suppressed, and now it's coming up to the surface so that you can transmute that, you can feel that, you can regulate your nervous system around that so that you can open the floodgates to receive more. So allow yourself to feel that. So one thing that I will do and get my clients to do is to take a deep breath in through the nose until you're all the way at the top, and then take a little snip of air more, and then out through the mouth really slowly. That is regulating your nervous system. So in through the nose, hold at the top, a little bit more air, and then slowly out through the mouth. So you're coming back to that regulated state and just keep reminding yourself it is safe, it is safe, it is safe. Again, if that trigger keeps coming up, then there's an underlining limiting belief in the subconscious mind that needs to be rewritten. And I always say this, 95% of the work when it comes to rewiring beliefs is the awareness. Because if we don't have the awareness of what is actually happening for you, then we don't know what actually needs to be rewritten, right? So that is the most powerful thing, is actually going within and asking yourself, okay, what is this belief that is coming up to the surface for me? Go within, ask the subconscious. I literally will sit there and get clients to just verbally tell me what is happening so that we can dig into it and get down to the nitty-gritty of that belief that is literally subtly repelling the money that they truly desire, which is so powerful. How powerful is this? So, the last but most exciting piece, so I'm going to help you actually step into the money queen identity. So, rewire your identity to become magnetic to money. Okay. Because the thing is, money is always circulating. It's an economy. It's always circulating. The money that you desire might be in, someone else's bank account, in the actual bank. It's like, circulating somewhere else, but it's always circulating. So the whole premise of, playing in the quantum realm and stepping into the identity of the money queen, it's about being magnetic to that money, right? And allowing it to come from the pathway that the universe source God will provide for you. So it's releasing the attachment, because so often I see this all the time. It's just like, okay, well, it has to come through this way, has to come through my job, has to come through my business. But then we are literally closing off to the infinite pathways that money and abundance can come through for you as well. So when you live from your abundant self. So from the frequency of the money queen, literally from today. So I want you to leave this portal embodied and in in alignment with the money queen, literally from today. That is when you collapse time. Because, like what I was saying in the beginning, it's aligning to that timeline where you're already experiencing that level of wealth. So, the more that you can just embody that, the more that you can show up every single day, think, feel, act as if you already have that money, you're in alignment with it, the faster you're going to collapse that time and attract it into your life. So you can shift your identity now. It's not something that we become, it's not your future self, like, Instagram loves to call it. And I used to believe this as well. I absolutely used to believe this. I was like, oh, I'm becoming my future self. But it's literally will always be in the future. You'll always be in that becoming. You can shift your identity now. And I'm going to help you do that to the money queen. So if I already had the money I desire, who would I be today? So this is the identity shift. This is the embodiment work. Okay, so the $0 identity, and you can write down the identity that you have right now. How do you think, feel, and act towards money? So I was writing some of mine down, back way when at that $0 identity. And, you know, some of the things that really came through was, she waits for proof before deciding. I studied, a science degree for 7 years. So I was literally so conditioned that I had to look for proof before I, made any decision. We literally had to look at clinical trials before we were able to prescribe clients anything, really. So it was always this belief that I had to look for proof before deciding to, before deciding that I had 10K in my account, for an example, I had to have the physical representation of $10,000 before I felt wealthy, before I felt like I had $10,000. But that's not how it works. We have to feel wealthy, feel abundant in this now moment, no matter what is happening in your circumstances. And that is when we become an energetic match and we close the gap and we actually attract it. So, this identity, this version of me, I felt like an imposter. I didn't feel like I was successful. I always was asking, how can I make the money? So I was constantly asking externally, what is the right thing to do? What is the right thing to say? How's the right way to show up to attract the clients and the money, right? So I also overthought investments. So instead of being guided, making the investment, knowing that money was going to flow back, it was, oh no, I can't do that. I don't know if money is going to come back. I didn't know when money was going to be there. So can you see the difference within that? It was rooted in that lack and that scarcity. I hustled to prove my worth. I posted to get clients rather than posting in the energy of this is fun, this is light. I already have the clients. I felt triggered by other people's success. I avoid looking at my money. So this is a huge one, right? I did not want to look at my money because I didn't actually want to know what was in there. I was avoiding it. And when we are in a relationship with money, like everyone is in a relationship with money, and that is the most powerful thing that you can do is to create a beautiful queen sovereign relationship with money. That is part of stepping into the money queen. She is a sovereign queen around her money. She knows where the money's going. She knows what's flowing in. She feels grateful for what's flowing in, but also grateful for what is flowing out, right? I was always looking for someone to, save me, to say, oh, it'll be okay. It doesn't matter. Like I'll just give you the money, right? Um, and then a huge one, huge was I will feel abundant when I have the money. So I spoke about that before, but that's not how manifestation works. It's creating wealth from within, and that is when we experience it without. Because your external reality is just mirroring your internal reality. So if you don't think you're wealthy yet, if you don't think you're wealthy at all, if you're middle class or, whatever you actually believe about yourself around money is what is going to be your experience around money. I'm not wealthy yet. Okay, the universe just says yes. Okay, I'm going to keep her being not wealthy yet. The universe just says yes to however you are vibrating at, whatever you are vibrating at. Okay. So it's incredible to get the awareness around who you are being so that you can shift that. So when I was shifting into, and what I help my clients when we're shifting into, say, the 10K month version or the money queen, we're looking at, okay, how does this version of you think? What are they feeling? What actions are they taking around money? Right? They are deciding, they're deciding that they are already the money queen. They are deciding that are already aligned with the 10K version of them, right? Because we have to build up the ladder. That was a huge lesson for me and realization was that, we can't just go from the version of ourselves who is making, 0 to 2K to the next month, 100K. We have to build up the ladder. Otherwise, the subconscious looks at the mountain and is just like, whoa, that's way too big for me, right? So I had to go from the 0 to 10K, 10K, 15, 20, blah, 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 blah. So that doesn't mean that you don't skip steps, but it's what can you wrap your energy around? So the money queen, she trusts herself to make decisions quickly because she has the belief that money is constantly flowing back to her, double, triple her investment, right? Because this is the most powerful. And I hope that you can, grasp some of these empowering beliefs because ultimately you don't have to believe what I believe, but you want to believe what is going to empower you. You want to believe what is going to allow you to attract the money that you desire. So this rewiring process and tapping into that version of you, that is going to be individual for everyone, right? But it's looking at how that version of you acts around money. And I actually, observed people, my coaches, I would go sit in lobbies, I would go, sneak into beautiful hotels and just observe people and their relationship with money and how they spoke about it, how regulated they were. I remember, going out to dinner and, you know, this person paid for everyone. And it was just this regulated, like, oh yeah, amazing. I get to do this. It wasn't like this, oh my God, I can't believe I paid for that. That's going to be a little, like all of the stories attached to that action around money. Because every way we act around money has a feeling attached to it. And as Neville Goddard says, feeling is a secret. The feeling that you go into something with is the result and what you are going to attract back. So this version of you, she feels inspired, activated by people's wins. She's like, oh my goodness, that is possible for that person. What is possible for one is possible for all. The law of oneness. She takes responsibility. She's the money queen, the sovereign queen around her money. She knows what's going in. She knows what's going out. She spends money in gratitude, knowing more is always on its way to her. And the biggest one is feels abundant now. Feels like the money queen now, not when she has the money in her account. No matter what is happening in your external reality right now, that does not mean anything. It is just past energy, past identity, past beliefs that have built momentum, and now that is what you're experiencing in this now moment. But at any single moment, you can shift to a whole different timeline. You can shift your identity to a whole different timeline, and you will experience with delay a whole different timeline. So I hope that you can see how powerful these money codes are truly are. And when you can embody these money codes, these money queen codes, this method, it will literally change your life. So we spoke about the wealth identity, that money isn't about being high vibe or being happy or thinking positive thoughts. It's about how you think, how you feel, how you act. It's your relationship with money in of itself that dictates whether you are aligned with it or you're not. The nervous system, we spoke about the sympathetic nervous system versus the parasympathetic nervous system, and how money comes to a regulated nervous system. And then the last piece, which was so, so important, is the embodiment. So there's a difference between feeling aligned to the money and then staying that energetic match right up until it manifests into the bank account. So many people drop the alignment, drop the energy towards the new timeline because it's easier to go back into the old timeline because that's what is safe. That is what is known. But you are meant for more. You are absolutely meant for more. So this process works. I know it works, not just for me, but also clients who I have shared this with. So this particular beautiful client manifested $10,000 in the 30 days of applying the money queen method to her life. So this particular client came to me feeling so dysregulated in her nervous system around money, was suppressing her emotions because she thought that she had to be this high vibe, happy, positive person around money. And she just felt so stuck. She was manifesting, dribs and drabs, but it was in this unregulated state. And she always felt like she was chasing money rather than embodying the money queen who attracts and not chases. By the end of 30 days, she quantum leaped her income. And she created such a beautiful relationship with money. Yes, she attracted double her income, double the amount of money. And then also the following month, continuously created that as well. So this isn't just about, quick wins here and there. It's about how can we shift our whole entire identity to continuously match more and feel regulated about it, around it. So you can see from anxiety and pressure around money to feeling at ease and abundant. That right there is this in a whole is the most incredible, magical thing. Because, yes, of course, we want more money. Of course, we want to live the life that we desire. Of course, we want to make the impact that we desire. But if it's done from a dysregulated state and hustle, it's not true alignment, right? So it gets to be easy. You get to feel incredible. And that's a process of the money queen. Other clients who have embodied this, so you might be thinking, well, yeah, okay, that's one client, but is this really going to work for me? But there's so many, and this is only a few of all of the magic that has unfolded within embodying the Money Queen Code method. Clients attracting dream clients in the 30 days and being like, holy crap, I haven't attracted a client for so long. And then a high-paying dream client comes in. I have to share started goal of 5555. 7 days left of the 30 days, and she's already at 5 grand. Like it's these stories that is just so empowering because this process works. When you embody this, when you actually integrate it, everything changes because it has to. When your internal reality changes and you hold that frequency of the new timeline, everything has to change to match that because it's just mirroring your internal reality. So this is why I created Rewired to Abundant. So the 30-day program. So this isn't just, another manifestation program. It's a total identity upgrade, right? It is helping you regulate your nervous system around money, rewire beliefs that have kept you at a certain level, kept you stuck for such a long time, into rewiring into the money queen, rewiring into abundant, right? Because that's why I called it rewired, because it is a rewiring process. Like I mentioned before, it's so easy to go back into the old timeline because that is what is safe, that is what is known. That is why I use the 3 pillars of the identity, the nervous system regulation, and the embodiment. So it's learning how to dissolve the limiting beliefs and not just some random's limiting beliefs, your limiting beliefs, what is in your subconscious, and exactly how to rewrite those so that you can embody the money queen frequency. So it is your portal to not only attract more wealth, but to become magnetic to it. So it is just your new normal. And the reason why I created Rewired to Abundant, in this specific way, because I had been a part of, manifestation programs before. And what I found, especially when it comes to money, is that as you're moving through this rewiring process and you're, rewiring beliefs and you are, creating a beautiful relationship with money, I didn't see this in any of the programs that I was in. It was always, okay, we have the module and then you're just left on your own for a week. But I wanted to create a potent space where you have me in your ear every single day. So over the 30 days, you unlock a new daily module that guides you through the activation and the transformation so that you don't just align to more wealth, but you actually hold the frequency right up until you see the physical evidence come into your bank account. So these aren't just, surface level affirmations or, activations. It's literally giving you the embodiment piece to embody every single day. And there is rewiring processes in there, like EFT tapping. There is visualization meditations and nervous system regulation tools, all put into this program at the perfect moment to allow you to step into the money frequency, the money queen frequency, because that is what it is truly about. It's staying in the frequency right up until. So this is absolutely mind-blowing, incredible. And this program, it was 888, but for the Money Queen activation portal, for just being here in this energy, I am bringing it down to 444. And not only just 444, like, of course, we need more magic in there, is that it's also for a limited time only going to have access to a free month inside of Elevate. So Elevate is my monthly membership so that you can have a community of like-minded money queens on this journey with you, where you can come in and you can share your wins, you can share your takeaways, because what I find, especially for women, is that it is so needed for us to voice and to share our takeaways or to share our wins or to share, something that is on our mind, because that's when it is actually integrating for us, right? Because you think about it, men go out there and fight and go kill animals back in the day, whereas women would sit around these circles and would share. And the most important thing that I want you to take away from this program is the integration piece. So not just leaving with a whole bunch of information, but the integration piece. So you will get an email with all of these incredible things, but just know that you right now are tuned in and tapped in to the Money Queen. So whether you feel called to deepen this work, to go to that next level, to join us in Rewire to Abundant, I would absolutely love to help you on this journey, to hold your hand every single day, to help you step into that elevated version of you. Or if you just walk away from this portal, this activation with these codes, you are already the money queen. I want you to walk away in that energy. I want you to walk away embodying. I want you to walk away with these activations within, open to receive and watch what flows through. So a mantra is, I no longer wait for money to feel like a money queen. I be her now, and that's why money flows to me. So feel free to continue integrating that particular mantra, and you will have access to this portal for lifetimes. Lifetimes. So thank you so much, beautiful, wealthy money queen, for joining me in this activation in this portal. I love you so, so much, and I'm so excited for what you have just unlocked. This is only the beginning of truly what is possible for you. And I'm so, so, so here for it. So I love you all so much, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.